Welcome to Raised on D&D podcast. Twice a month, Raised on D&D brings you inspirational interviews, tips, and strategies to enhance your family's gaming experience. Your host for Raised on D&D has been a game master for 30 years and father to 3 gamers. Here is Nick Cardarelli.
Welcome back, gamers. I'm your host, Nick Cardarelli, and this is Raised on D&D. My next guest lives in the North Coast wilds of Prince Rupert, British Columbia. He is the owner and primary operator of Good Times Games. His Ladies and Kids Hawthorne programs have won the 2019 Gamma Outstanding Organized Play Global Award. He has a coming Patreon that will focus on bringing his Hawthorne programs to the world in print. Please welcome Rob Gruber. Hi, Rob.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on the show. So, Rob, we're super excited with all the things that you're doing with Good Time Games. Before we jump into all that, we want to ask you, can you take us back to your first experience with tabletop role-playing games? What was that like? How did your passion for D&D begin?
Definitely. I can remember it really well. It was 38 years ago. I was 12 years old, probably a mischievous kid at the time, not unlike most of my friends. And my mom signed me up for a Dungeons and Dragons summer camp that one of the other moms put together. I didn't know what Dungeons and Dragons was. All I knew is it sounded like I was going to summer school. And it had me freaked out. I didn't want to go. It was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We started at 9, we finished at 3. It sounded like school to me, right? And I'm like, man, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be fooling around outside and other stuff. But anyways, I signed the thing. My mom signed, said that I would attend all summer. That mom hired a high school kid to be our dungeon master. That first day, that changed my life. That changed my life that first day. We played all summer. At the end of the summer, I was, panicking. Like, how are we going to continue? The summer's coming to an end. I love this Dungeons and Dragons stuff. It's crazy, great. And my friends loved it. And my dad, who was, I think he's almost like forward thinking for his time, because he was he's very solid in the church and, all that kind of stuff. And back then, 38 years ago, church and Dungeons and Dragons didn't go very well together. And I thought, this is going to be a tough sell. But he actually saw us, reading and laughing and having fun and really enjoying it. And here's this kid that never picked up a book prior to Dungeons and Dragons. And there I was reading players' handbooks and stuff, saving my allowance we collected bottles, whatever we could do to get some Dungeons and Dragons stuff. And he said, Rob, you know what? I'm going to buy you guys all the stuff you need. And we're going to turn the entertainment room downstairs into your little Dungeons and Dragons room. And I thought that was so forward. I didn't think it at the time, but so forward thinking now for him to do that, because he knew where we were all the time. He kind of controlled, kept us out of trouble. Friday nights, and through high school, we told, it was social suicide telling anybody you played Dungeons and Dragons. So we said we were playing poker. We told I was captain of the basketball team. There was just no way I was telling anybody I was playing Dungeons and Dragons back then. But yeah, I was, like the name of the show, I was literally raised on D&D, and we played a lot. He said, one of you guys figure out who's going to be a dungeon master, and I'll buy all the stuff. And he bought us all the books. He had books for everybody, dice. We were pretty spoiled as Dungeons and Dragons kids, but I can see where his motive lied. It was an amazing story. And I've come a long way since that. I've always been the DM. From that day forward, I've been the DM. Occasionally I get to play in one of my longtime friends, Scott's campaigns, or, my brother runs some things too. So I'm surrounded with great DMs here in Prince Rupert. My son's a fantastic DM. He's only 23, but he's been, DMing my store programs for a decade kind of thing. And it's just great. It's just great.
Rob, your dad, so he provided the space and he provided the supplies. Did he ever sit down and play with you guys?
Yeah, not back then. But he has played, since my son has been a player, he joins so that it's something he can do with his grandson. They used to have an annual trip where they would go visit my brother in Victoria. And that was one of the things they did while they were down there. My brother would run a campaign for them. And yeah, it was just great. I got great pictures of, 3 generations playing. And now in my programs, I have the girls of Hawthorne, the ladies of Hawthorne. Some of those ladies, there's a grandma, a mom, and the daughter all playing D&D in our store, like 3 generations playing in our store. It's just wild to even think how far it's come here and how acceptable and how beloved D&D is in Prince Rupert.
That's incredible. And I want to ask you, Rob, how old was your son when you first introduced him to tabletop role-playing games?
Well, I mean, we've always been playing. We started out, they were 6 or 7. We started out playing Duel Masters, which was a card game. And I'm lucky my dad had a building downtown with an empty basement that he kind of let me commission as the game club. We called it game club. It wasn't a store back then. And we would run for my son and his friends, and it grew, 6 kids playing Bakugan or whatever it was we were doing at the time. Mech Warrior was really big. We had a lot of Mech Warrior, the Clicks game, the Liz Kids game. But we play everything. We play something every, Friday night after a swim meet. That'd be the reward. We'd play. Saturday afternoon was Mech Warrior Day. We'd play. And maybe Sunday we'd play something as well. And it started like that. It started at 6. And I told my son, when you can read The Hobbit from cover to cover, then we'll play Dungeons and Dragons. And he had it done in like nothing. And I think it was a turning point for his. He went from an average student kind of thing, not really engaged, to he doesn't see anything but A's. Like he became an honor roll, effort roll kid. And I think Dungeons and Dragons had a big role in that happening. I see it in lots of other kids. Even in our Pokemon club here at the store, 5-year-olds learning to read or memorizing what their Pokemon do because they want to do well, right? So they want to be able to do the same things that their friends are. So they're really working hard at reading those cards or memorizing what those abilities are. And I've seen a lot of kids that it's turned around just being part of game club. It's amazing. It's just been positive.
You were in basketball, your son was in swimming. Myself, I was in wrestling. A lot of my high school gaming buddies were on the football team. One of the beautiful things about the gaming community is how diverse we are. I think that's great that as a reward for doing well, for a reward for reading, a reward for doing sports, was getting to play Dungeons and Dragons. So now you have the ladies of D&D and the kids of D&D Hawthorne programs. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the ladies was kind of an accident. It was really just some really forward-thinking moms wanting to, they've got excited kids coming home every week. From our Heroes program. And I just want to be able to sit at the table and understand what the kids are talking about and engage them and be part of it. So it was a one-shot. I wrote it as a one-shot. I took sign-ups, who wants to learn a little bit of the lingo, the basics, have a little bit of fun. We did a potluck dinner. So, that, I tried to make it as attractive as possible. And I think we had 6 ladies, 6 original ladies that signed up. They wanted to try the game or just see more what it's about so that they can understand why their kids are so excited about this Dungeons and Dragons thing. And after that session, they fell in love with their characters and they said, hey, I know it was a one-time thing. Can we do it again? I was like, yeah, there's not a problem. And then they're talking about it at work. Another lady, says, another woman comes to me and says, I'd like to join. It sounded like it was really fun. They ate a bunch of buttered chicken. It was like wicked. And it just grew. Friends were telling friends. And we had people that had no kids in the program coming in and trying to, get involved because it was a social night. It was, once a week, once every 2 weeks, social night. And I've got women, signing up for birthday party game. They're bringing, 7 friends and they'll have a cake that's got Elven script on the side. It's like crazy. They're hardcore. They're right into it and they've become their characters and it's exciting. It's probably, my friends are great, but the ladies of Hawthorne are one of the greatest groups I've ever had a chance. They don't come with any preconceived ideas. It's like, it's wild every time. The idea, whatever they come up with is not in the book. I got to wing it. I got to go off, fly off the seat of my pants. It's just great. It's been great for me as a DM. It really pushes me to write excellent content, exciting content, and engaging content because some of them have been coming for 4 years. So,
Wow.
It has to be good. The story has to be really compelling to bring someone back week after week for 4 years. The kids are the same thing. 9 years. I've got some kids, Peyton Kloster's been playing with me for 9 years. 9 years. She was just a little girl. Now she's, in middle school. It's crazy.
You have a actual brick and mortar storefront, Good Time Games, right there in Prince Rupert. Is that correct?
Yeah. My game store's been here 14 years. And the club about 6 years prior to that. So,
what made you wake up one day and say, I think I'm going to own my own hobby and game store?
Well, believe it or not, my brother and I had this dream long before it even, we even came to it. We thought we wanted to open a game store when we were kids. And so we even had a name picked out. We had Good Times picked out. way back then. And, we went with life and things and whatever. And then one day as this started getting bigger in my community, the game club started getting too much to do as just a hobby. And it had to become a little bit more. I asked him, I said, hey, Mike, I'm ready to make Good Times come to life here. And he was like, yeah, sure. Take the name, make it, do it. And it's just, now my brother's moved home in the last couple of years from Victoria, and he's a huge part of what we do here. Him and his wife are probably my best demo agents for demoing board games. They're just hardcore board games, and he's so good at teaching new players. We don't have the stereotypical demographic a lot of the time. So he's great at, teaching families how to play Tiny Towns and things like that. He's just dynamite. And I'm lucky to have him here.
That's wonderful. And so the family's still getting together around the game table, and you made a business out of it, and it's incredible. I want to talk a little bit more about your Heroes program. So you have taken the kids from the tabletop and you've taken them into the world of LARPing, or live action role playing. They're dressing up, they've got boffer weapons, they're going out into parks. And I always wanted to go to one of those camps like in Connecticut or something where you could go and you rent out the cabin and you get to be your character like all weekend long. And I've never been able to do it, but you've done it. You've made that happen, and you've made it happen for your whole community. So tell us more about that.
We've kind of developed between my son and myself and one of our employees here, a young lady named Olivia, we've developed what's called the Swords and Sorcery program. And it's a set of rules. It's basic enough that 5-year-olds can come out and be part of the action. But it's also, it's got level ups and different intricacies that make it appealing for the older kids as well, and even adults. I've done, adult birthday parties at the park as well, where we do sword fighting birthdays. But yeah, it's grown. It started out as kind of like a little scavenger hunt as part of the D&D. We would do something that happened in the session and then like reenact it around town. I'd have plants and different things. They'd find different things at different locations and have to figure out where I was in the end. And then it would be a giant fight. But now it's just grown. Like we'll have the D&D camp going on in the summer, and then we'll have Gamer Kids Camp, which joins with them for the Swords and Sorcery. And then we've got drop-in swords as well. So there's days that those numbers swell to 60, 70 kids that we're taking over for sword fighting.
Wow.
On a nice day, it's crazy. We did a couple of medieval feasts, not last year, but the year before when there was no Corona. And they were both 70 plus, everybody in full dress up that they could. We ate outside, we ate Elven, I read proclamations as the Elf King, and we had awards and stuff included. We gave away a bunch of swords and different things, and it was fantastic, and we had so many parents there watching their kids, get awards and get proclamations, be named to the Dwarven Guard or the Elven Royal Guard kind of thing, and get their place in kind of the program. Super fun. Kids as young as 5, boys and girls, and then all the way up to, adults. We have lots of adults that join us because it's just hella fun, right?
That's amazing. And I've seen on your Facebook page, Good Time Games, photos. The kids are out there, rain or shine, getting out there, big battles, but 70 people. And I've had some experience with the Society for Creative Anachronism, and no one would ever affiliate SCA with LARPing. Okay, so before everyone sends me hate comments, no one's saying that, all right? But the idea of having 70 children in the park with full armor and boffer weapons and dressed like elves and dwarves, just amazing. But it's really become a Prince Rupert phenomenon. It's taken over the whole community. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I mean, when we walk down to head to the park, the cars going by honk and wave and salute the kids, and we've got our call that we call to people that we see on the street that we know. It's amazing. Everybody loves driving by and seeing the kids at the park, doing Swords and Sorcery. They love being part of it. We've got parents that are part of it. I mean, I went over and we had a big special event we ran for Christmas, our holiday event, which we had 6 groups of D&D, all in like a storyline that ran. Each of them played for 4 hours straight kind of thing. And the storyline continued. And I had our mayor, we had like dignitaries, from different parts of the community come and join us for the big finale. Our mayor even came up to stop. I went up in my full Elf King garb with an entourage to invite him with a proclamation, to invite him to attend right at City Hall. And it was crazy, here I was, standing there full leather armor, got my glaive and everything. And we're asking the mayor to come help defend the community, basically. It was an alliance of men and elves, and it was just really, really electric and cool. And we even had our local cable company broadcast the whole event. So people could tune in from home and watch the kids playing D&D, some of the kids brought their parents and signed them up, and parents played with them for the first time. And it was just a fantastic, it was a weekend. We had the upstairs of the store done up like a tavern, so kids could hang around, do coloring pages, watch the action on a big screen. And there was a fireplace there, a big screen fireplace. It was wild. We try to really go all out when we do stuff. And the same thing for our medieval feasts. We have big deals. I do fairy tale camps where we've got little girls as young as 4, 5, 6 years old. They're dressed up. I wear my tutu and my wings and teach them about fairies. And we do a craft. We'll build a house or maybe magic wands or something. And those are hugely popular. And we've had fairy tale camps that have been 30 kids. And we'll have a picnic at the park and catch some things to make using building our house and stuff like that. There's a lot of creativity, a lot of imagination being employed here in Prince Rupert. Here in Prince Rupert, people believe in dragons and elves and things like that. It's part of regular life in our little community, and I love it for that. And I love the fact that my town embraces this creativity. Everybody applauds it and is part of it instead of looking down on it. It's awesome, and I know there's so many towns that would love to have the same thing going on,
It's very inspirational, not only for your community, but also the fact that you bring families together and that it all started with your family. And that is amazing. You're very passionate about Dungeons and Dragons. Your father had the foresight of seeing the benefits of the game. When parents are like, why should my child waste their time? I mean, he could be playing basketball. He could be going to swim meet. Why Dungeons and Dragons? What's the benefit of it? What do you say to those kind of parents?
Well, I also encourage kids to be pretty well-rounded. So you should be in a swim club. You should be doing basketball, but you can also do Dungeons and Dragons. You can also play card games or board games with us as well. It's great because it makes every kid have a huge friend circle. As a parent, who doesn't want their kid to have 50 friends, to start with? And then team play. It's the same as basketball. Dungeons and Dragons is a team game, just the same as basketball. I always encourage the kids to be heroes. We don't have any evil characters. We don't have any, you're always fighting against the bad guys in our programs. And I make sure I hammer that home with parents too, that's what they're going to learn. If they stray or want a lone wolf too badly, they won't be able to play because that's not what we encourage here in the store. Critical thinking is massive with with any kind of game. Being able to adapt on the fly, to change your plan, being able to, take a situation and try to figure out the best way to navigate through it. These are all important things. Problem solving. These are all life skills that these kids are learning, and they don't know they're learning them. They're having fun. They love it. Guy wants to do something stupid. He's going to pay there's consequences, and he's going to learn that. He's not going to do it next time because his character almost died or got put in jail or something. There are, and I think I use Dungeons and Dragons I did for my son. I used it for life lessons all throughout as I was doing it. Those guys didn't know they were learning stuff. They were just having a blast. And I think it's an easy sell on parents. It's so easy. It's inexpensive to play Dungeons and Dragons, and the benefits are huge.
Well, Rob, moving forward, you're talking about the Hawthorne programs being made into print and being able to be put in the hands of people who want to build communities just like yours. Tell us what the plan is there.
Yeah, the plan has been kind of stalled a little bit. I was, Corona put a little damper on things, and I had to shift the business around and do some different things just to stay relevant here and keep things going. Obviously, we are very entertainment driven, my business model. So we had to shift to a retail driven plan and some other things. So things have changed a little bit in that, but I still have it on the table. I know there are lots of other stores, lots of other communities, dungeon masters, players that would like to, emulate what we've kind of achieved here. I've got, decades of stories that I've written. I've never played out of modules. I've always written all the content myself. So I want to bring that to print. That's all part of the Hawthorne program. I'd like to do it as a Patreon so that I can leak a little bit of my information monthly. People can subscribe and kind of follow the same storyline that we've used here for the Ladies of Hawthorne or Heroes of Hawthorne. I've got, I want to be able to add one-shots for birthday parties so stores can monetize this program for themselves. I want to see everybody kind of succeed with this program. It's going to include the swords and sorcery rules, which have taken a long time to develop and fine-tune and to bring to the point where right now we love our swords and sorcery program. Our rules, our kids chant them over there. It's like a cult when I say, "What's the most important rule? Live action sorcery." It's just crazy. It's just good. We hammer those rules home, and even kids as young as 5, they get them because they want to be there, and so they're learning quickly. But all that stuff I want to make available. The end result is really I would love before the end of my days to see that Hawthorne Player's Guide or Hawthorne Campaign Book in print in a hardcover, beautifully illustrated and ready to go, because I've played every edition. I mean, there's no wrong way to play Dungeons and Dragons. I take something from every edition. To really say that I play Dungeons and Dragons is probably not even accurate, because I common sense rule almost everything on the fly. I never open a book. I've got 6-year-olds. If I open a book to look for something, I've lost my audience. And
right.
So I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good at narrating. I'm pretty good at telling a story. Seeing, if they engage in something, I'll shift everything to go that direction. Just make it fun. Everybody deserves to have fun, not at the expense of anybody else at the table. So, that's my plan. I'd like to see that in print. I've got, my banner is on my Facebook page, my Hawthorne fantasy storytelling banner. I'd love to see that on the cover of a book. And that would be dream come true for me. That would be the end of all ends for the Elf King right there.
Well, and Rob, we want to see that too. So if you get to that point and you're doing a crowdfunding or a Kickstarter, you let us know so we can let our listeners know, because we want them to be able to get their hands on that book one day too. So Rob, thank you so much for being on the show today. Thank you for all your great advice. We hope that your inspiration transcends the internet. We're listened to in 36 countries on 6 continents. So we hope that somewhere someone is going to spring up the Hawthorne program in their little community as well.
Well, I really think the name of the show hits the mark with me. I was raised on D&D, so I'm very happy to be here.